Did you spend hours pulling up dandelions just to throw them in the trash? What if I told you that you are literally throwing away liquid gold for your garden? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are talking about a common weed that most gardeners hate. But this very same weed has the power to make your tomato and cucumber harvest 2 times bigger. Yes, you heard that right. We are going to turn your biggest lawn enemy into your garden's best friend. I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never look at a yellow dandelion the same way again. In fact, you might actually start planting them on purpose. People think that weeds only destroy gardens and steal nutrients from vegetables, but that is a massive lie. Today, we are going to expose the incredible truth about dandelions as a secret, super-powered fertilizer. Let us find out why your tomatoes and cucumbers are desperately begging for this simple weed. Are you ready to double your harvest for free? Let us jump right in. To understand why this works, we need to look back at how nature actually builds healthy soil. For centuries before chemical fertilizers were ever invented in laboratories, farmers relied on nature's own mechanisms to feed their crops. They understood that certain wild plants were not enemies, but vital tools. A dandelion is classified scientifically as a dynamic accumulator. This means it is a plant specifically designed by nature to gather, store, and concentrate essential minerals from the earth. While most of our hybrid garden vegetables have weak, shallow root systems, wild dandelions are tough survivors. They possess a thick, powerful taproot that can easily break through hard clay and reach deep into the subsoil. Our tomatoes and cucumbers simply cannot reach these depths, so they miss out on a massive amount of hidden nutrition. The dandelion does the hard work for them, acting like a natural mining operation right in your backyard. Let us start by looking at what a dandelion actually is beneath the surface. Most people see a yellow flower and immediately think of a ruined, messy lawn. But what is really happening deep beneath the soil? Dandelions have an incredibly deep taproot system. This thick, carrot-like root pushes far down into the earth. It reaches soil layers that your standard garden vegetables simply cannot access. Tomatoes and cucumbers have relatively shallow root systems. They feed mostly from the top few inches of your garden beds. But the dandelion root goes down several feet. Down there, it acts like a heavy-duty mining machine. It pulls up heavy minerals, vital trace elements, and crucial nutrients that have washed away from the topsoil over many years. This plant acts as a biological nutrient pump. It brings all that hidden garden wealth up into its green leaves and bright yellow flowers. There is a common myth that weeds only steal nutrients from your valuable crops. But this is completely false when it comes to dynamic accumulators like the dandelion. Instead of stealing, they are actually rescuing lost food. When you pull up a dandelion, you are holding a highly concentrated bundle of free organic fertilizer. Imagine throwing away a premium bottle of liquid plant food from the store. That is exactly what you are doing when you toss these weeds into the garbage bin. By harnessing this deep mining power, we can bring those lost nutrients right back to the surface for our vegetables. Now let us talk specifically about tomatoes and their absolute favourite food. Tomatoes are incredibly hungry plants, and their biggest craving is a mineral called potassium. Potassium is the magic ingredient that allows a tomato plant to set heavy fruit, develop rich flavour, and grow plump and juicy. Without enough potassium, your tomatoes will be small, watery, and completely tasteless. Here is the big secret. Dandelion leaves are absolutely packed with enormous amounts of organic potassium. In fact, they contain more potassium than many expensive commercial fertilizers you buy at the garden centre. Think of potassium as the water pressure in a house. It helps move water and nutrients up and down the plant stem. When you feed your tomatoes dandelion extract, you are giving them the ultimate energy drink. The myth is that you must buy expensive tomato feed or use messy wood ash to get high potassium levels. But the truth is growing right in your lawn. By using dandelions, you deliver a highly bioavailable form of potassium. This means the tomato roots can absorb it instantly without waiting for it to break down. If you want those massive, heavy, prize-winning tomatoes that make your neighbours jealous, you need to provide massive amounts of potassium. And the humble dandelion is the cheapest, easiest, and most natural way to deliver exactly what your tomato plants are begging for. Moving on to another massive problem every tomato grower faces at some point. Have you ever grown a beautiful tomato only to find the bottom of it is completely black and rotten? This heartbreaking condition is called blossom end rot. It ruins thousands of harvests every single summer. Most gardeners panic and think it is a rare disease or a nasty fungus, but let us bust that myth right now. Blossom end rot is simply a severe calcium deficiency in the fruit. The plant is desperately trying to build the cell walls of the tomato, but it does not have enough building materials. Guess what plant is an absolute powerhouse of natural calcium? You guessed it, the dandelion. The deep taproot we talked about earlier is amazing at pulling calcium up from the rocky subsoil. When we turn these weeds into fertilizer, we release that calcium directly to our tomato plants in a liquid form. Think of calcium like the bricks used to build a strong, sturdy house. If you do not have enough bricks, the house collapses. If a tomato does not have enough calcium, the bottom of the fruit collapses and rots. Commercial calcium sprays can be very expensive and sometimes burn the plant leaves, but dandelion calcium is completely natural, gentle, and perfectly balanced. By feeding your plants this weed, you're building an invisible shield against blossom end rot. Your tomatoes will grow perfectly round, solid, and entirely free of those nasty black spots. Let us not forget about our cucumbers. If you are growing cucumbers, you know they grow incredibly fast. They put out massive amounts of vines and huge green leaves almost overnight. To support this crazy explosive growth, cucumbers demand massive amounts of nitrogen early in their life. Nitrogen is the fuel that builds green leafy growth. Without it, your cucumber vines will look pale, weak, and yellow. This is where the dandelion leaves truly shine. Dandelion greens are rich in easily digestible nitrogen. Imagine nitrogen as the engine of a high-speed sports car. Your cucumber is the car, and dandelion fertilizer is the premium gasoline. Many gardeners make the mistake of buying synthetic nitrogen fertilizers. The myth is that chemical nitrogen works better, but chemicals can actually burn delicate cucumber roots and force the plant to grow too fast, making it weak and vulnerable to pests. Dandelion nitrogen is released slowly and naturally. It gives the cucumber vines exactly the right amount of energy to build thick, strong stems and huge solar panel leaves. The bigger and healthier the leaves are, the more sunlight the plant can catch. More sunlight equals more energy to produce hundreds of tiny yellow flowers, which will eventually become your massive cucumber harvest. It is a perfect, natural cycle of growth. But there is another crucial mineral hidden inside this annoying weed, and it is vital for both tomatoes and cucumbers. We are talking about phosphorus. While nitrogen builds leaves and potassium builds fruit, phosphorus is the secret architect of the root system. A plant with a weak root system is like a giant tree with no anchor. The first strong wind or dry spell will kill it. Phosphorus stimulates massive, dense root growth underground. Dandelions are naturally high in phosphorus, gathered by their own incredible root structure. When you feed this back to your garden vegetables, their root systems explode with new growth. Think of a plant's root system as a highway network for transporting water. A small root system is like a tiny dirt road. It can only move a little bit of water. But a plant fed with dandelion phosphorus develops a massive, multi-lane superhighway underground. It can absorb hundreds of gallons of water during the hot summer months. This makes your tomatoes and cucumbers highly drought-resistant. The myth in modern gardening is that you have to buy bone meal or rock phosphate to get good root growth. While those work, they are expensive and take months to break down in the soil. Dandelion liquid fertilizer provides instantly available phosphorus. Your vegetable roots will drink it up immediately, creating a foundation so strong that your plants will survive even the harshest summer heat waves. So how do we actually get these amazing nutrients out of the dandelion and into our vegetables? You cannot just chop them up and throw them on the dirt. Well, you could, but it would take months to break down. The real secret to doubling your harvest is making something called weed tea. Do not worry, you are not going to drink this yourself. Weed tea is a potent fermented liquid fertilizer. The process of fermentation unlocks all the cellular walls of the dandelion. It forces the plant to release its trapped potassium, calcium, nitrogen, and phosphorus into the water. Think of it like brewing a magical potion for your garden. When you steep tea leaves in hot water, the water changes colour and absorbs the flavour. We are doing the exact same thing, but with cold water and time. The myth is that making your own fertilizer is incredibly complicated and requires a science degree. The truth is, it is one of the easiest things you can do. It requires zero electricity, zero cooking, and absolutely zero money. You are simply letting nature do all the heavy lifting through the power of natural bacteria. This fermentation process creates a liquid feed that is actually more bioavailable than chemical alternatives. This means your plants do not have to work hard to digest it. They can drink it right up and instantly turn it into new flowers and bigger fruits. The first step to making this magical weed tea is the harvest. This is the fun part because you get to clean up your lawn while gathering garden gold. But there is a specific way to harvest dandelions for maximum potency. You want to pick them before they turn into those fluffy white seed heads. If you wait until they go to seed, the plant has already used up a lot of its stored energy. The best time to pick them is when they are in full bloom, with bright yellow flowers, or even just as green, leafy rosettes. Here is the most important rule. You must get the root. Do not just snap off the leaves. Use a weeding tool or a long trowel to dig deep and pull up that thick taproot. Remember, the root is where the heaviest concentration of minerals is stored. It is the powerhouse of the plant. Think of harvesting dandelions like a chef preparing a high-end meal. You want all the best ingredients. Shake off the excess dirt, but do not worry about washing them perfectly. A little bit of native soil attached to the roots is actually a good thing. It contains local, beneficial bacteria that will help start the fermentation process later. A common mistake is using chemical weed killers on dandelions and then trying to compost them. Never do this. If you have sprayed your lawn with poison, those weeds belong in the trash. Only harvest organic, untreated dandelions for your vegetable fertilizer. Now that you have a big pile of freshly pulled dandelions, it is time to prepare your fermentation bucket. You will need a large container. A 5-gallon plastic bucket is absolutely perfect for this job. Do not use metal containers. The fermentation process creates mild natural acids that can react with metal, ruining your fertilizer and possibly harming your plants. Plastic or glass is the way to go. Take your dandelions and chop them up roughly. You do not need a blender. Just use garden shears or a sharp knife to cut them into smaller pieces. Chopping them increases the surface area, which helps the nutrients extract much faster. It is just like dicing garlic before cooking to release more flavour. Fill your plastic bucket about half full with the chopped dandelion leaves, flowers and roots. Do not pack it down too tight. They need room to breathe and soak. Next, fill the bucket with water. Rainwater is the absolute best choice because it is pure and free of chemicals. If you must use city tap water, fill the bucket and let it sit in the sun for 24 hours first. This allows the chlorine to evaporate. Chlorine kills bacteria, and we need good bacteria to make this fertilizer work. A common myth is that any water will do, but using heavily chlorinated water will completely stop the fermentation process and ruin your batch. Once your bucket is filled with water and chopped weeds, the magic of fermentation begins, but it requires patience. You need to cover the bucket loosely. A piece of cloth or an old piece of window screen tied over the top is perfect. This keeps mosquitoes from laying eggs in the water, but still allows oxygen to flow in and out. Place the bucket in a warm, sunny corner of your yard. Now, the waiting game begins. You need to let this mixture sit for about 2 to 3 weeks. Every couple of days, take a long stick and give the mixture a really good stir. Stirring introduces oxygen into the liquid, which feeds the beneficial aerobic bacteria that are breaking down the plants. Think of it like stirring a pot of soup on the stove. Now, I have to be completely honest with you. Around day 5, you are going to notice a smell, and by day 10, it is going to smell pretty awful. It will smell like a barnyard or a swamp. Do not panic. This foul smell is the ultimate sign of success. It means the proteins and complex carbohydrates in the dandelion are breaking down into pure, liquid plant food. The myth is that good fertilizer should smell like flowers, but in organic gardening, a bad smell usually means incredible nutrition. Just keep the bucket away from your open windows, keep stirring it, and embrace the smell of future garden success. After about 3 weeks, the bubbling will stop, and the dark, foul-smelling liquid is finally ready. But wait, you cannot pour this directly onto your precious tomatoes and cucumbers right now. It is far too strong. If you pour straight weed tea on your plants, you will experience fertilizer burn. The sheer concentration of nitrogen and potassium will literally scorch the plant roots and turn the leaves brown. You must dilute it. First, you need to strain the liquid. Pour the mixture through an old strainer or a piece of burlap to separate the dark liquid from the leftover plant mush. You can throw that leftover mush right into your compost pile. It is still great organic matter. Now you have a bucket of highly concentrated dandelion extract. The golden rule for dilution is 1 to 10. That means you mix 1 part of your dandelion tea with 10 parts of clean, fresh water. Think of it like making a cup of coffee. The concentrate is a dark, bitter espresso shot. You need to add a lot of hot water to turn it into an enjoyable Americano. When diluted correctly, the liquid should look like weak, pale tea. This is the perfect safe strength for your vegetables. A common mistake is thinking that stronger is better. People think giving a double dose will make plants grow twice as fast. In reality, a double dose will shock the plant. Stick to the 1 to 10 ratio and your vegetables will thrive safely. Now let us talk about exactly how to apply this magical elixir to your tomato plants. Timing and technique are everything here. Tomatoes are heavy feeders, but they like their meals delivered right to the root zone. You want to apply your diluted dandelion tea as a soil drench. This means pouring it directly onto the soil around the base of the plant. Try not to splash the lower leaves of the tomato, as wet tomato leaves can invite fungal diseases. The best time to feed tomatoes is early in the morning. The plant is just waking up, the sun is not too hot yet, and the roots are ready to drink. Think of it like serving a massive, healthy breakfast to a growing teenager before they go to school. Start feeding your tomatoes with this tea about 2 weeks after you transplant them into the garden. Give them a good drink of the diluted tea once every 2 weeks throughout the growing season. As the plant starts to form small green tomatoes, the high potassium content of the dandelion tea will kick into high gear. You will literally see the fruit swelling up day by day. Do not overfeed them. Stick to the 2-week schedule. The myth is that you need to feed plants every single day. But organic liquid fertilizers need time to interact with the soil biology. Give nature time to work between feedings. Feeding cucumbers requires a slightly different strategy than feeding tomatoes. Cucumbers are incredibly fast growers, and their root systems stay closer to the surface. They also consume a massive amount of water every single day just to keep those giant leaves crisp and upright. Because of this, cucumbers prefer lighter, more frequent meals. Instead of a heavy feeding every 2 weeks, you should feed your cucumbers with a slightly more diluted dandelion tea once a week. Think of cucumbers like an athlete running a marathon. They do not want a huge heavy meal all at once. They need constant light snacks of energy to keep going. Pour the diluted fertilizer gently around the base of the cucumber vines. Again, water deeply, so the nutrients reach all the shallow roots spreading out across the bed. As soon as you see the first yellow flowers appear on your cucumber vines, you will know the phosphorus from the dandelion tea is working perfectly. Those flowers will quickly turn into tiny cucumbers. The steady supply of weekly nitrogen will ensure the vines stay dark green and vibrant, fighting off the exhaustion that usually hits cucumber plants in late summer. A common mistake is letting cucumber soil dry out completely. Always make sure the soil is slightly damp before you apply liquid fertilizer, so the roots can absorb it smoothly without shock. Here is a secret, advanced technique for using dandelion tea that can push your harvest to the absolute limit. It is called foliar feeding. Plants do not just drink through their roots. They can actually absorb liquid nutrients directly through the pores on their leaves, called stomata. Foliar feeding acts like a direct vitamin injection right into the plant's bloodstream. It is the fastest way to fix nutrient deficiencies. To do this, you must strain your dandelion tea very carefully through a fine cloth, so no particles clog your spray bottle. Dilute the mixture even further than before. Use a ratio of 1 part tea to 20 parts clean water. Put this ultra-weak solution into a clean garden sprayer. Now, very early in the morning or late in the evening when the sun is low, spray a fine mist all over the leaves of your tomatoes and cucumbers. Make sure to spray the undersides of the leaves too, as that is where most of the pores are located. Think of it like applying a high-end, nourishing skin cream. The plant absorbs the trace minerals instantly. Do not do this in the middle of a hot, sunny day, or the water droplets will act like magnifying glasses and burn the leaves. This foliar spray provides a quick burst of micronutrients that root feeding alone cannot match, giving your plants an incredibly dark, rich green glow. Beyond just feeding the plants directly, dandelion fertilizer does something even more important. It feeds the soil microbiome. Your garden soil is not just dead dirt. It is a living, breathing ecosystem filled with billions of microscopic bacteria and fungi. These microbes are the invisible workforce of your garden. They break down organic matter and deliver nutrients right to the plant roots in exchange for plant sugars. Chemical fertilizers are basically pure salt. They kill off these helpful microbes over time, turning your living soil into dead, hard dirt. But dandelion tea is packed with organic carbon and natural sugars. When you pour it onto the soil, you are feeding a massive feast to the beneficial bacteria. Think of dandelion tea as a powerful probiotic drink for your garden. Just like humans need probiotics for a healthy stomach, plants need healthy soil bacteria to digest their food properly. The myth is that fertilizer only feeds the plant. The truth is, the best organic fertilizers feed the soil first, and the soil feeds the plant. As the bacteria population explodes in your garden beds, they create a spongy, rich soil structure that holds water perfectly. This vibrant, living soil is the real secret behind a harvest that is twice as big as your neighbour's. If you feed the microbes, someone else will eventually show up to the party. We are talking about earthworms. Earthworms are the absolute holy grail of organic gardening. A garden full of earthworms is a guaranteed success. The organic matter and the explosion of bacterial life caused by your dandelion tea acts like a magnet for deep-dwelling earthworms. They will travel from all over the yard to feast in your tomato and cucumber beds. As they eat the organic matter, they tunnel through the soil. These tunnels act like tiny aeration pipes, bringing essential oxygen directly to the roots of your plants. But that is not even the best part. As the worms eat, they leave behind worm castings. Worm castings are arguably the most perfect, balanced, and potent natural fertilizer on planet Earth. By using simple weed tea, you are basically hiring an entire army of underground workers to till your soil and manufacture premium fertilizer for free 24 hours a day. Think of it as a domino effect. The dandelion feeds the bacteria attract the worms create castings, and the castings feed the tomatoes. A common mistake is buying expensive bags of worm castings from the store. Why buy them when you can encourage worms to make them rise directly around the roots of your cucumbers for free? There is a massive bonus to growing vegetables this way that nobody talks about. It is pest and disease resistance. When you force plants to grow rapidly with synthetic chemical fertilizers, you create soft, watery plant tissue. This soft tissue is incredibly attractive to pests like aphids, spider mites, and whiteflies. It is like ringing a dinner bell for every bug in the neighborhood. But when plants are grown slowly and naturally with deep, organic nutrition, like dandelion tea, something amazing happens. They build thick, tough cell walls. The high levels of calcium and silica present in the weeds create an invisible armor around the plant. Aphids literally cannot pierce the tough leaves of a naturally fed cucumber vine. Furthermore, a perfectly nourished plant has a supercharged immune system. When early blight tries to attack your tomato leaves, a healthy plant can fight it off naturally. Think of it exactly like human health. A person eating junk food gets sick all the time. A person eating a balanced diet of natural vitamins rarely catches a cold. The myth that you need toxic chemical pesticides to have a healthy garden is totally wrong. The best defense against pests and diseases is an offense built on superior, organic plant nutrition provided by deep-rooting weeds. Let us take a moment to talk about the financial and environmental impact of this secret trick. Gardening has become incredibly expensive in recent years. If you go to a garden centre to buy organic tomato fertilizer, calcium sprays, and soil inoculants, you can easily spend $50 to $100 just to grow a few plants. That completely defeats the purpose of growing your own food to save money. By utilising dandelions, you are bringing your fertilizer cost down to exactly zero. You are keeping hard-earned money right in your wallet, but it goes far beyond just your budget. The environmental cost of synthetic fertilizers is massive. They require fossil fuels to manufacture, plastic jugs to package, and heavy trucks to ship them to your local store. When they are used in the garden, excess chemicals wash off into local rivers, causing massive algae blooms that destroy wildlife. By brewing your own weed tea in a plastic bucket in your backyard, your carbon footprint is virtually zero. You are taking a local waste product, the annoying lawn weed, and upcycling it into premium food. It is the ultimate closed-loop system. You are working in perfect harmony with nature, saving the planet and saving your bank account, all while harvesting twice as many delicious cucumbers and tomatoes. Before you rush out to start brewing, we need to cover a few crucial mistakes that can ruin your entire crop. Do not skip this part. The first major mistake is harvesting dandelions that have already gone to seed. The fluffy white seed heads are beautiful, but they are a nightmare for compost tea. If you chop up seed heads and soak them, the seeds will actually survive the cold water fermentation process. When you pour that tea onto your garden beds, you will be planting thousands of new dandelions right next to your tomatoes. Your vegetable beds will turn into a weed jungle. The second catastrophic mistake is ignoring the dilution ratio. I cannot stress this enough. Raw, undiluted weed tea is highly acidic and packed with harsh ammonia. It will burn your plants to a crisp in less than 24 hours. Always remember the 1:10 ratio. It is better to make it too weak than too strong. Finally, never use weeds from a lawn that has been treated with chemical herbicides or weed and feed products within the last year. Those poisons bind to the plant tissue. If you make tea out of poisoned weeds, you will literally brew a bucket of liquid death. Pouring that on your tomatoes will kill the plants and contaminate the fruit. Always source your weeds from clean, wild, untreated areas. Here is a totally radical idea that will shock most traditional gardeners. You do not actually have to pull up every single dandelion. In fact, leaving some alive near your vegetable garden is a brilliant strategy. Dandelions are among the very first flowers to bloom in early spring. They provide an absolutely crucial food source of pollen and nectar for early emerging bees and beneficial wasps. If you eradicate every dandelion, these pollinators will leave your yard and look for food elsewhere. When your tomato and cucumber plants finally start producing their own yellow flowers, there will be no bees around to pollinate them. No pollination means absolutely zero fruit, no matter how much fertilizer you use. By allowing a small patch of dandelions to live on the edge of your garden, you are building a permanent habitat for pollinators. Think of them as neon signs flashing free food, attracting the bees to your yard. Once the bees are there, they will stick around to pollinate your vegetable crops all summer long. The myth of the perfectly green, sterile lawn needs to die. A healthy garden is a diverse jungle. Use most of the dandelions for your liquid fertilizer tea, but always leave a few standing as an offering to the hard-working bees. When you put all of these pieces together, the results are genuinely mind-blowing. This is not just a cute gardening trick, it is biological science in action. By feeding your tomatoes and cucumbers this dandelion extract, you are triggering a massive chain reaction. The deep-mined calcium stops blossom, end rot cold. The instantly available potassium forces the plants to set clusters of heavy, massive tomatoes. The natural nitrogen pushes the cucumber vines to grow 6 feet tall with leaves the size of dinner plates. The phosphorus builds an impenetrable root system that laughs at summer droughts. The fed microbiome and earthworms turn the dirt into fluffy, black gold, and the increased cell wall strength repels aphids and diseases naturally. This cumulative effect is exactly why your harvest will be 2 times bigger. Your neighbours will be spraying expensive chemicals and wondering why their plants look tired and yellow by August. Meanwhile, your plants will be dark green, overflowing with fruit, and producing well into the late autumn months. The final weigh-in of your harvest will prove the incredible power of this simple weed. You are unlocking the ancient secrets of organic agriculture, all starting with a plant you used to throw in the garbage. Get ready to buy more canning jars, because you are going to need them. And there you have it, the ultimate secret to a massive summer harvest. Who would have ever thought that the annoying dandelion, the very plant we spend hours trying to destroy, holds the key to doubling our tomato and cucumber yields? We have uncovered how its deep taproot mines lost minerals, how fermentation unlocks massive amounts of potassium and calcium, and how this free weed tea transforms your soil into a living, breathing ecosystem. By stopping the cycle of buying expensive chemical fertilizers and simply looking to nature, you can grow the biggest, healthiest vegetables of your life. It is time to stop fighting weeds and start using them to your advantage. Thank you so much for watching and learning with us today. If you found this secret dandelion trick helpful, please smash that subscribe button so you never miss another organic gardening hack. Hit the like button to help this video reach more gardeners and share it with a friend who loves growing tomatoes. Now I have a question for you. Have you ever used weed tea in your garden before? Or what is your favourite natural fertilizer to use? Let me know down in the comments below. I love reading your ideas. Until next time, happy gardening and go save those dandelions.